Captain Hansol stood on the bridge of the Defiance and watched his enemy approach. Through the main screen, he could see them coming. Hundreds of Rexian warships. Their hulls were dark metal that looked like dragon scales. Their weapons glowed with purple energy. They moved through space like hunters closing in on wounded prey. Hansol was tired. So very tired. He had been fighting for 10 years. 10 long years of running, hiding, and bleeding. Earth was gone now. The beautiful blue planet where he was born existed only in his memories. The Vrexians had burned it 3 months ago. He watched it happen from far away, powerless to stop them. 20 billion people turned to ash in a single day. The colonies were gone too. Mars, Europa, Titan, all the settlements humanity built over 2 centuries. The Vrexians crushed them one by one. They were thorough. They were patient. And they were winning. Now only the Defiance remained. 1 ship, 1 crew of 200 souls, the last humans with a working warship. Everyone else was dead or scattered across the galaxy, hiding in the dark spaces between stars, pretending to be something other than human. "Captain, they are sending a message," said Lieutenant Jae-hee. She was young, barely 25. She should have been starting a family somewhere safe. Instead, she was here about to die. "Put it through," Hansol said. The screen changed. A Vrexian face appeared. Commander Taeyang. Hansol had fought against this one before. 3 times they had met in battle. 3 times Hansol had escaped. The Vrexian commander was different from others of his kind. He did not enjoy killing. He did not gloat about victory. He simply did his duty with cold efficiency. "Captain Hansol," Taeyang said. His voice was deep and calm. "This is the end. You know this. Your ship is damaged. You have no support. No reinforcements. No hope." "I know," Hansol replied simply. "Then I offer you honor in death. Power down your weapons. Allow my warriors to board your vessel. You and your crew will face execution, but it will be quick. Painless. This is more than most humans received." Hansol almost laughed. More than most humans received. As if that was generous. As if that made up for 20 billion dead. "I appreciate the offer, Commander," Hansol said. "But I must refuse." Taeyang tilted his head. "Why, you cannot win. Even you must see this truth." "Winning is not the point anymore," Hansol said. "The point is making you remember us." He cut the transmission. Around him, his crew waited in silence. They all knew what came next. "Engines to full power," Hansol ordered. "Weapons ready. All remaining missiles armed." "We go straight at them." "Yes, sir," came the responses. No one questioned. No one hesitated. They were all volunteers. They all chose to stay when they could have run. They stayed because someone needed to protect the secret. The secret, hidden across dozens of moons and asteroids in the outer system. Facilities that the Vrexians had not found. Places where thousands of humans slept in frozen darkness, waiting for a signal that might never come, waiting for a future that might not exist. The Cryovault network was humanity's last hope. Not a hope for victory. That dream died with Earth, but a hope for survival. A hope that someday somehow humans would walk among the stars again. The Defiance surged forward. Alarms screamed as Vrexian weapons locked on. The first impacts shook the ship like a toy in a giant's hand. Hull breaches on decks 3 and 7. Fire in the engine room. Life support failing in the rear sections. "Keep firing." Hansol shouted over the chaos. "Every missile. Every gun. Make them pay for every meter." The Defiance was a small ship, but she had teeth. Human weapons were different from Vrexian ones. They were crude, loud, and violent. Railguns that threw metal at incredible speeds, missiles packed with nuclear warheads, laser arrays that could cut through armor with sustained fire. The Defiance scored hits. 1 Vrexian destroyer exploded in a bright flash. Another spun away, trailing atmosphere and debris. A third lost power and went dark. But it was not enough. It was never going to be enough. More impacts. The bridge lights flickered and died. Emergency lighting came on, painting everything in red. Jae-hee was dead at her station. A piece of metal through her chest. The navigation officer was gone, sucked out through a hole in the hull. The tactical station was on fire. Hansol felt blood running down his face. Something had hit him, but he could not remember what. His hands moved across the controls, fighting to keep the ship alive just a little longer. Just a few more minutes. "Sir, the main reactor is failing," someone shouted. Maybe it was Corporal Dongwu. Maybe it was someone else. "Hard to tell through the smoke. How long?" Hansol asked. 2 minutes. Maybe less. 2 minutes. Enough time. It had to be enough time. Han Sol pulled up the communications array. He accessed the secret channel, the one buried so deep in the ship's systems that only he knew it existed. His fingers flew across the controls, typing in codes that he had memorized years ago. The message was simple, just 3 words in a data packet. But those 3 words would change everything, he hoped. He prayed to gods he did not believe in anymore that someone would receive this message, that the systems would still work after all this time. Winter is coming, he typed. Then he attached the data packet. Confirmation that the last human military force was destroyed. Confirmation that the Vrexians believed humanity was extinct. Confirmation that it was safe to wake the frozen warriors. He hit send. The ship shook violently. The main reactor was melting down. Temperature warnings filled every screen. The Defiance had seconds left. Han Sol looked at the Vrexian fleet on his screen. So many ships, so much power. They thought they had won. They thought humanity was finished. "You have no idea what we prepared for you," he whispered. "You have no idea what sleeps in the dark." Commander Taeyang watched the Defiance explode. The human ship came apart in a brilliant flash of light. Pieces of metal scattered across space like drops of rain. Then there was only silence and debris. "Confirmed destruction," he ordered. "Confirmed, Commander," his tactical officer said. "No life signs. No escape pods. The humans are dead." Taeyang nodded slowly. He felt no joy in this victory. The humans had fought well, better than any species the Vrexians had conquered before. They were clever, adaptable, and impossibly stubborn. They refused to surrender even when defeat was certain. "Send a message to the Council," Taeyang said. "The last human military force is destroyed. Humanity is extinct," his officers cheered. They celebrated. But Taeyang did not join them. He kept staring at the debris field where the Defiance died. Something bothered him. Something the human captain said. "Making you remember us, what did that mean? Why would a dying man waste his final words on something so strange? Humans always had a reason for everything. They were too clever to die without purpose." "Commander, we detected a transmission from the human ship," the communications officer said, just before it exploded. It was heavily encrypted. "We cannot break the code. Where did it go?" Taeyang asked. "Unknown, sir. It scattered across multiple frequencies and vectors. Could be anywhere in the system." Taeyang felt cold. The human captain had sent a message. A final message. To whom? To what? There were no more humans left to receive it. "Unless..." "Begin deep scans of the outer system," Taeyang ordered. "Every moon. Every asteroid. Every piece of rock large enough to hide a facility. I want to know what the humans were protecting." His officers looked confused, but they obeyed. Taeyang stood alone on his bridge and stared at the stars. Somewhere out there in the cold darkness, humanity had hidden something important enough to die for. He intended to find it, but in the frozen vault scattered across dead moons, ancient machines received Han Sol's message. Systems that had slept for years began to wake. Timers started counting down, and in their crystalline chambers, thousands of human warriors dreamed dark dreams of vengeance and waited for the call to rise again. 3 months passed since the Defiance exploded. 3 months since Commander Taeyang declared humanity extinct. The Vrexian Council celebrated their victory with feasts and ceremonies. They built monuments to their success. They claimed human territories as rewards for loyal warriors. The war was over and they had won. But Taeyang could not celebrate. He could not forget Captain Han Sol's final words, "Making you remember us." Those words haunted him like ghosts. They followed him into sleep and greeted him when he woke. Something was wrong. Something was hidden. And Taeyang needed to find it before it found him. He ordered survey teams into the outer system. Dozens of ships scattered across the darkness, scanning every rock, every moon, every piece of ice floating in space. For weeks they found nothing. Then everything changed. The survey ship Morningstar was scanning Titan, Saturn's largest moon. It was a dead place covered in frozen methane and nitrogen. Nothing lived there. Nothing should be there. But the sensors detected something anyway. Something big. Something buried under the ice. "Commander, you need to see this," said Captain Bora of the Morningstar. Her face on the screen looked pale, frightened. "We found a structure, a human structure. It is massive." Taeyang arrived at Titan within a day. He brought his personal guard and his best scientists. What he saw made his blood run cold. The structure was built into the moon itself. tunnels carved deep into rock and ice, chambers large enough to hold warships, and at the center, a facility that stretched for kilometers underground. The humans had built this in secret, probably during the early years of the war when the Rexians were still far from Earth's system. "What is this place?" Taiyang asked. Dr. Jiwoo stepped forward. She was young for a Rexian scientist, barely past her first century, but she was brilliant. She specialized in studying other species, understanding how they thought and lived. She had studied humans extensively during the war. "It is a cryovault," Jiwoo said, her voice quiet with awe. "A facility for freezing living beings in suspended animation. The humans call it cryogenic preservation. They have been experimenting with this technology for centuries." Taiyang walked through the entrance. The facility was dark, but emergency lights still glowed along the walls. Power was still running. After all these years, after all this time, the human machine still worked. They went deeper, past security doors that hung open, past weapons storage that had been emptied long ago, past barracks and medical bays, and then they found the chamber. It stretched before them like a cathedral built for sleeping gods. Thousands of pods arranged in perfect rows. Each pod was a crystal cylinder filled with pale blue light, and inside each pod a human floated in frozen stillness. Taeyang approached the nearest pod. A woman was inside. She wore a black military uniform with patches and symbols. Her eyes were closed. Her face was peaceful. She looked like she was sleeping. But the readings on the pod told a different story. Her body temperature was far below freezing. Her heart did not beat. Her brain showed minimal activity. She was not alive, but she was not dead either. She existed somewhere in between. How many? Taeyang asked. "Scanning now," Jiwoo said. Working on a human terminal she had connected to her equipment. "This facility holds approximately 5,000 individuals. But Commander, that is not the most disturbing part. Tell me, these are not civilians. These are soldiers. Elite soldiers. I am reading their files now. Special forces, Marines, experimental units. Every person in this facility was a volunteer. They chose to be frozen when Earth's defeat became certain." Taeyang felt ice in his stomach. 5,000 soldiers, frozen, waiting. And if this facility existed, then others might exist too. "Find them," he ordered. "Find every vault. Find every frozen human. I want them all located." The survey team spread out across the system. They found vaults on Europa, on Enceladus, on Callisto, on dozens of asteroids that had been hollowed out and turned into secret facilities. Each vault held thousands of sleeping soldiers, engineers, pilots, hackers, support staff, everything needed for a military force. In total, they found 37 vaults. Over 100,000 humans in frozen sleep. An entire army hidden in the darkness waiting for a signal to wake. Taeyang reported this to the Rexian Council. He expected them to be concerned. Instead, they laughed. "Dead humans in frozen coffins," said High Counselor Rathmon. "This is what worries you, Taeyang? They are corpses. Preserved corpses. Nothing more." "They are not dead," Taeyang insisted. "The technology is stable. They could be revived." "Then we will destroy the vaults," Rathmon said simply. "We will burn them, melt them, scatter their atoms across space. The problem is solved." "We should study them first," Dr. Jiwoo said. She had accompanied Taeyang to the council meeting. "These humans represent valuable scientific data. We could learn much from their preservation technology. We should destroy them now," said Admiral Kael'ron. He was old even for a Vrexian. He had fought in dozens of wars and conquered dozens of species. He believed in total victory, in complete destruction of enemies. "Every day we wait is a day they could wake. Every day we hesitate is a risk. They cannot wake without external activation," Jiwoo explained. "Each vault is controlled by an AI system. The AI requires specific codes and conditions before it will begin revival procedures. And those codes died with the last humans. You are certain?" Rathmon asked. "I am certain," Jiwoo said, but she did not sound certain. She sounded worried. The council debated for hours. Finally, they reached a decision. The vaults would be locked and secured, but not destroyed. Not yet. They would study the frozen humans, learn their secrets. And when they had learned everything useful, then they would destroy them. Taeyang was ordered to secure the vaults, but he was forbidden from interfering with them otherwise. The council wanted to handle this themselves. They did not trust Taeyang's caution. They thought he was too worried about dead enemies. Admiral Kael'ron was given command of the Purge Fleet, 100 warships. Enough firepower to crack planets. He would arrive at the vaults in 1 month and begin systematic destruction. The frozen humans would become dust and humanity's final hope would die. But Tae-Yang could not shake his fear. He returned to the Titan vault. He stood before the sleeping soldiers and studied their faces. They looked so peaceful, so human. The Vrexians thought of humans as weak scavengers who relied on tricks instead of strength. But Tae-Yang had fought them. He knew the truth. Humans were the most dangerous species in the galaxy, not because they were strong or fast, not because they had superior technology, but because they never gave up, because they planned for every contingency, because they thought generations ahead. "Dr. Jiwoo," he said, "you told the council that these humans cannot wake without activation codes." "That is correct," she replied. "But what if someone already sent those codes? What if the last human ship sent a message before it died?" Jiwoo went very still. "That would be impossible to trace. The message could have been sent anywhere. To any vault. We would never know until it was too late." "Exactly," Tae-Yang said. They stood together in the chamber of sleeping warriors. Above them, in the dead facility, machines hummed quietly. Power flowed through ancient circuits. And deep in the vault's core, an AI named Guardian processed the message it had received 3 months ago. "Winter is coming." Guardian analyzed the data packet. It confirmed that the last human military force was destroyed. It confirmed that the Vrexians believed humanity was extinct. It confirmed that the enemy had grown careless. All conditions were met. Guardian began the countdown. In 30 days, when the Vrexian purge fleet arrived, the frozen warriors would wake, and they would teach the Vrexians a lesson about declaring humanity extinct too early. But Guardian did not tell anyone this. It waited in silence. It prepared in darkness. And in their crystal pods, the sleeping humans began to dream different dreams. Dreams of waking. Dreams of fighting. Dreams of revenge. Tae-Yang left Titan with a heavy heart. He had secured the vaults as ordered. He had done his duty, but he could not shake the feeling that he was securing a trap. And when that trap sprung, the galaxy would bleed. He just did not know if that blood would be human or Vrexian. Admiral Kael'Ron arrived at Titan with his purge fleet exactly on schedule. 100 warships surrounded the frozen moon like predators circling a corpse. He stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Eternal Fury, and smiled. Today he would erase the last trace of humanity from the galaxy. Today he would finish what the war started. "Begin bombardment of the surface facility," he ordered. "Target all power generators. All communications arrays. All surface structures. I want nothing left but rubble and ice. Admiral, Commander Tae-Yang requested that we study the facility before destruction," said his tactical officer. "Commander Tae-Yang is too cautious," Kael'Ron said with contempt. "He sees threats in shadows. These humans are dead. They have been dead for months. We are destroying empty coffins, nothing more." The fleet opened fire. Purple energy beams lanced down from orbit. Missiles streaked through Titan's thin atmosphere. Explosions bloomed across the frozen surface like deadly flowers. The human facility shook under the assault. Walls crumbled. Towers collapsed. Power systems exploded in cascades of sparks and fire. Deep underground, Guardian felt the impacts. The AI had been waiting for this moment. The calculations were perfect. The Vrexians had arrived exactly when expected. They were attacking exactly as predicted. Humans understood their enemies well. Even in death, human planning was flawless. Guardian activated the awakening protocol. Throughout the Titan vault, sleeping pods began to change. The blue light inside them grew brighter. The temperature started to rise degree by degree. The frozen bodies inside began to thaw. Hearts that had not beaten for years suddenly stuttered to life. Brains that had been silent began to fire with electrical activity. The dead began to wake. Colonel Hee-Jin was the first to open her eyes. Pain hit her like a physical blow. Every nerve in her body screamed. Her lungs burned. Her muscles felt like they were being torn apart. This was normal. This was expected. The biotechnology in her body was activating, repairing damage from the freezing process, enhancing her beyond normal human limits. She had volunteered for the enhancement program 5 years before the freezing. The scientists said it would make her faster, stronger, more resistant to injury. They said it would give humanity an edge. They were right. But they never mentioned how much it would hurt. The pain lasted 30 seconds. Then it faded to a dull ache. Then it was gone. Hee-Jin took a deep breath. Her pod opened with a hiss of escaping gas. She climbed out, naked and dripping with preservation fluid, and stood in the chamber. All around her, other pods were opening. Her team, her ghost battalion, the men and women she had trained with, fought with, bled with. They emerged from their pods like warriors rising from graves, 200 of the most deadly soldiers Earth had ever produced. "Status report," Ye-Jin ordered. Her voice was rough, but it was strong. "Guardian online," came a voice from speakers throughout the chamber. The AI's voice was calm and pleasant. It sounded like a kind grandmother. But He-Jin knew better. Guardian was not kind. Guardian was a weapon just like her. "Colonel He-Jin, welcome back. We have much to discuss." "How long?" He-Jin asked. She pulled on a black combat suit from a nearby locker. The suit was designed for space combat, with built-in armor and life support. "You have been in cryogenic suspension for 10 years, 3 months, and 14 days, Guardian said. 10 years. He-Jin felt nothing about this. She had expected it. They all had. Time meant nothing to frozen soldiers. "What is our situation?" "Earth is destroyed. All colonies are destroyed. Humanity is officially extinct. The Vrexians believe they have won. They are currently bombarding this facility from orbit. They intend to destroy all cryovaults and erase humanity's legacy. How many vaults are left?" 37 vaults remain intact. Approximately 100,000 frozen personnel. I am waking priority units in all vaults simultaneously. Full awakening will take 6 hours. 6 hours! Not much time. He-Jin looked around at her team. They were all dressing now, pulling on combat suits, checking weapons. They moved with efficiency born from decades of training. Even after 10 years frozen, their bodies remembered. Major Kyung-soo approached her. He was her second in command, a giant of a man with scars across his face and hands that could crush steel. "Colonel, what are our orders?" "Guardian, upload mission data," He-Jin said. The AI complied. Information flooded directly into He-Jin's mind through her neural implant. She saw everything. The fall of Earth, the destruction of the colonies, the death of Captain Hansol, the Vrexian occupation, the location of enemy forces, the weakness in their defenses. All of it downloaded in seconds. She saw the Vrexian fleet above them. 100 warships, thousands of warriors, overwhelming firepower. Against her 200 soldiers, she smiled. Those were good odds. "Guardian, I need weapons. Everything you have stored. Armory access granted. Bay 7. The Ghost Battalion moved through the underground facility like shadows. The Vrexian bombardment continued above them, but the deep chambers were built to withstand much worse. Humans had learned to build strong structures. They learned it on a planet that tried to kill them with earthquakes, volcanoes, and storms. Building things that survived was in their nature. Armory Bay 7 was massive. Racks of weapons stretched from floor to ceiling. Railguns that could punch through starship hulls. Plasma cutters that could slice through armor like paper. Nanoblade knives that vibrated at frequencies that made them sharper than anything in nature. Grenades, explosives, ammunition. Everything needed to kill efficiently. "Gear up," He-Jin ordered. "We hit them in 30 minutes. "Colonel, we are 200 soldiers against 100 warships," said Lieutenant Chol-woo. He was young, maybe 25 when he froze. "How do we win this?" "We don't win," He-Jin said simply. "We make them bleed. We make them afraid. We make them regret ever setting foot in our system. And we buy time for the other vaults to wake." She picked up a railgun and checked its charge. Full power. The weapon was cold and heavy in her hands. It felt good. It felt right. "The Vrexians think we are corpses," she continued. "They think humans are extinct. They think they are attacking an empty tomb. We will teach them what happens when you underestimate us. We will teach them why Earth survived for billions of years. We will teach them that humans are the most dangerous species in this galaxy, not because we are strong, but because we refuse to die." Her team grinned. It was not a happy expression. It was the smile of predators about to hunt. "Guardian, I need access to the vault's hidden tunnels. The ones that connect to the surface landing pads. Access granted. Tunnel System 4 will take you to Landing Bay Alpha. The Vrexians have landed dropships there. 20 vessels. Approximately 500 warriors." "Perfect," He-Jin said. "We go up, we kill everyone. We take their ships. Then we board their fleet and show them what real warfare looks like." "Colonel, they will be expecting an attack," Major Kyung-soo said. "No," He-Jin replied. "They will be expecting defense. They will be expecting scared survivors trying to protect their home. They will not be expecting us to attack. That is their mistake. That is why they will lose. The Ghost Battalion moved through the tunnels. They moved in complete silence. Their enhanced bodies made almost no sound. Their combat suits masked their heat signatures. They were invisible. They were ghosts. That is why they earned their name. Above them, Admiral Kael'Ron watched the bombardment. The surface facility was destroyed now, burning wreckage and melting ice. He was pleased. The humans built well, but Vrexian firepower was better. Send ground forces to secure the underground chambers, he ordered. I want confirmation that all the frozen humans are destroyed. Take Hollis. The Council will want proof. 500 Vrexian warriors descended to the surface. They landed in the remains of the human facility. They spread out in formation, weapons ready, scanning for threats. But they saw nothing. Just destruction, just ruins, just ice and silence. They did not see the Ghost Battalion emerge from hidden hatches in the ground. They did not see 200 human soldiers take positions around them. They did not see death until it was too late. Hyejin gave the signal. The Ghost Battalion opened fire. Railguns thundered. Plasma beams cut through armor. Nanoblades flashed in the dim light. The Vrexian warriors did not even have time to scream. In 10 seconds, half of them were dead. In 20 seconds, 3/4 were down. In 30 seconds, only a handful remained, and they were running in terror. No survivors, Hyejin ordered coldly. Her team pursued. The Vrexians were fast, but the humans were faster. Enhanced muscles propelled them at speeds that should not be possible. Enhanced reflexes let them dodge incoming fire. Enhanced healing let them shrug off wounds that would kill normal humans. They were death-given form. They were humanity's final revenge. When the last Vrexian fell, Hyejin stood among the bodies and looked up at the fleet in orbit. They did not know yet. They did not know what happened down here, but they would learn soon. Take the dropships, she ordered. Pilot teams, get them ready for launch. Everyone else, full gear. We go up in 5 minutes. On his flagship, Admiral Kael'Ron felt the first touch of concern. His ground force had stopped reporting. Communications were silent. That was strange. They should have reached the underground chambers by now. The 20 dropships screamed toward the Vrexian fleet at speeds that made the stars blur. Inside one of them, Colonel Hyejin checked her weapons one last time. Her railgun was loaded. Her plasma cutter was charged. Her nanoblades were sharp. She was ready. Her team was ready. It was time to show the Vrexians what happened when they made humans angry. Boarding teams. Sound off, she said into her helmet communicator. Team 2 ready? Major Kyung-soo replied. Team 3 ready, Lieutenant Chol-woo said. All 10 teams reported ready. 200 ghosts about to become a nightmare. Remember the plan, Hyejin said. We hit fast. We hit hard. We take their ships. We turn their weapons against them. Make every shot count. Make every kill matter. And most importantly, make them afraid. Yes, Colonel, came the unified response. The Vrexian fleet was firing now. Energy beams and missiles filled the space between the ships and the approaching dropships. But the humans were not flying like the Vrexians expected. They were not flying in formation. They were not following standard attack patterns. They were flying like maniacs, weaving and dodging with moves that should have been impossible. That was because they were impossible. The pilots were not following physics. They were ignoring safety limits. They were pushing the dropships to the breaking point and beyond. Human pilots learned to fly by crashing. They learned to fight by dying. And when you wake up after 10 years frozen, you stop caring about safe flying. 3 dropships exploded, then 5, then 8. Half of the attacking force was gone. But the rest kept coming. And they were close now. So close that the Vrexian fleet could not keep firing without hitting their own ships. Brace for impact, Hyejin shouted. Her dropship smashed into the side of a Vrexian destroyer. The collision should have killed everyone inside. But the Ghost Battalion was wearing impact armor, and their enhanced bodies could survive forces that would turn normal humans into paste. The dropship's nose crumpled like paper, but it punched through the destroyer's hull. Alarms screamed. Atmosphere rushed out into space, and the Ghost Battalion poured through the hole like demons entering hell. Vrexian warriors rushed to stop them. They were big creatures, 7 feet tall with thick armor and powerful weapons. They moved with the confidence of a species that had conquered the galaxy. They expected the humans to fight like humans always fought, with desperation, with tricks. With fear, they were wrong. He-Jin moved faster than the Vrexians could track. Her enhanced muscles launched her across the corridor. Her railgun fired once, twice, 3 times. Each shot punched through Vrexian armor like it was made of paper. 3 warriors fell before they could even fire back. Major Kyung-soo crashed into a group of Vrexians like a living battering ram. His massive fist broke bones. His boots crushed armor. He grabbed one warrior by the head and slammed it into the wall hard enough to dent the metal. The warrior stopped moving. Kyung-soo moved to the next one. All around them, the Ghost Battalion flowed through the ship like death-made flesh. They used the environment. They used speed. They used their superior reflexes and enhanced strength. But most importantly, they used fear. Humans understood fear better than any species in the galaxy. They spent millions of years as prey before they became hunters. They knew how fear felt. They knew how it tasted. And they knew exactly how to create it in others. The Vrexians learned quickly that they were not fighting normal humans. These humans moved too fast, hit too hard. They shrugged off wounds that should have killed them. They fought with a savagery that the honorable Vrexian warriors had never encountered. This was not a battle. This was a slaughter. Bridge secured, He-Jin reported as she stepped over dead Vrexians. Taking control now, she sat in the captain's chair. It was too big for her, designed for Vrexian proportions. She did not care. She accessed the ship's systems through her neural implant. The Vrexian computer systems were advanced, but Guardian had given her all the access codes. Human intelligence had stolen them years ago, during the early days of the war when everyone still thought humanity might win. Weapons online, engines online, shields online, she said. Guardian, download targeting data for the other Vrexian ships. Acknowledged? Guardian replied. Uploading now. Throughout the Vrexian fleet, chaos spread. The humans had captured 12 destroyers. 12 Vrexian warships were now under enemy control. And those ships immediately turned their weapons on their former allies. Admiral Kale Ron watched in horror as his own ships began firing on each other. This was impossible. This should not be happening. The humans were supposed to be dead. They were supposed to be frozen corpses in crystal coffins. How were they here? How were they fighting? How were they winning? All ships target the captured destroyers, he shouted. Fire everything. Destroy them now. But it was too late. The captured destroyers were already moving, using the Vrexian fleet's own formation against them. They fired from point-blank range where shields meant nothing. They targeted engines and weapon systems with precision that came from detailed intelligence and perfect timing. 5 Vrexian ships exploded in the first minute. 10 more lost power and drifted helplessly. The fleet that had come to destroy sleeping humans was being torn apart by those same humans, now awake and very, very angry. Retreat, Kale Ron ordered. All ships retreat to rally point 7. Jump to hyperspace now. The surviving Vrexian ships tried to flee. But humans had learned one important lesson during the war. Never let your enemy escape to warn others. Never let them regroup. Never give them a second chance. He-Jin targeted the fleeing ships with cold efficiency. Her destroyer's weapons were powerful, and she knew exactly where to shoot. She targeted their hyperspace engines. Without those engines, the ships could not escape. They could only die slowly. All teams report status, she ordered. Team 2 captured a cruiser, Major Kyung-soo said. He sounded happy. Minimal casualties. These Vrexians do not know how to fight in close quarters. Team 5 captured a destroyer, reported Lieutenant Dalnim. Heavy resistance, but we pushed through. Ship is ours, the reports came in one by one. 30 Vrexian ships destroyed, 15 captured, the rest fleeing in panic. Admiral Kale Ron's purge fleet was broken, destroyed by 200 humans who refused to stay dead. Guardian, what is the status of the other vaults? He-Jin asked. Awakening proceeding on schedule, the AI replied. The Europa vault is online. Major Sung-ho and the Iron Marines are awake. They are securing their facility now. The Enceladus vault is online. Captain Yuna and the Void Corsairs are preparing their fighters. 17 more vaults will come online within the next 3 hours. He-Jin smiled. The Vrexians thought they were fighting 200 humans. Soon they would learn they were fighting an army. An army that had been sleeping for 10 years, dreaming of revenge. Broadcast a message, He-Jin ordered. Send it across all Vrexian frequencies. I want their council to hear this. I want every Vrexian in the galaxy to hear this. Channel open, Colonel. He-Jin took a deep breath. Then she spoke. This is Colonel He-Jin of the Earth Defense Force Ghost Battalion. You declared us extinct. You burned our world. You killed our people. You thought we were finished. You were wrong. We are still here. We are still fighting. And we will never stop. Not until every human who sleeps in the dark has been awakened. Not until we have reclaimed what you took from us. You want to see humanity extinct? Then you will have to kill every last one of us. And we will make you pay for every death. This is our promise. This is our oath. Winter has come. And it will be long and cold and bloody. Run while you can, because the ghosts of Earth are hunting you now. She cut the transmission. Across the Vrexian Empire, every military commander, every politician, every warrior heard those words. And for the first time in their long history of conquest, the Vrexians felt something they had never felt before. Fear. On Europa, Major Sung Ho led the Iron Marines out of their vault. They were the heavy assault troops, wearing armor so thick they looked like walking tanks. Each Marine carried weapons that could level buildings. They found a Vrexian survey team outside their facility. The Vrexians tried to surrender. Sung Ho ignored them. There would be time for mercy later. Now was the time for war. On Enceladus, Captain Yuna climbed into a fighter cockpit for the first time in 10 years. It felt like coming home. The Void Corsairs were humanity's best pilots, chosen from thousands of candidates and trained until flying became instinct. They launched from hidden bays carved into the ice moon, 50 fighters against the stars. Such a small force. But in the right hands, 50 fighters could change the course of battles. In the asteroid belt, engineers woke in their vaults and immediately began repairing old defense satellites. Hackers woke and started infiltrating Vrexian communication networks. Medics woke and prepared to save the wounded who would surely come. Every human had a role. Every human had a purpose. And they all shared the same goal. Make the Vrexians regret ever coming to Earth's system. Commander Tai Yang received the news in his quarters. The Purge fleet was destroyed. Admiral Kaelron was dead. Thousands of Vrexian warriors were dead. And humanity, impossible as it seemed, was alive. He felt no surprise, only sadness. He had warned the Council. He had told them the humans were too clever to die without a final trick. The Vrexian Council chamber was in chaos. Councilors shouted at each other. Security forces stood ready in case the shouting became violence. High Counselor Rathmon slammed his fist on the table hard enough to crack the stone. "Silence," he roared. "All of you, silence!" The room fell quiet. Rathmon looked around at his fellow counselors. They were afraid. He could see it in their eyes. The proud Vrexian Empire, conquerors of 100 worlds, were afraid of humans, dead humans who refused to stay dead. "We need to mobilize the full fleet," said Counselor Vexara. "Send every warship we have. Crush these humans before they grow stronger." "And what if there are more vaults we have not found?" asked Counselor Threnoke. "What if we commit our forces and more humans wake behind us? They could strike our homeworld while we fight in their system." "Then we use planet killers," suggested Counselor Melzar. "We destroy every moon, every asteroid. We turn their entire system into dust." "And show the galaxy that we fear them?" Rathmon said coldly. "Show every species we have conquered that the mighty Vrexians need to destroy entire systems to deal with one frozen army. That would make us look weak." "We should negotiate," said a quiet voice. Everyone turned. Counselor Jiwan was young, barely 2 centuries old. She rarely spoke in council meetings, but now she stood and her voice was firm. "Negotiate with humans?" Vexara laughed. "They are barely above animals. They have no honor, no dignity. They fight with tricks and desperation. They also refuse to surrender," Jiwan said. "We have fought them for 10 years. We burned their world. We destroyed their colonies. And still they fight. Now they have nothing left to lose. Which means they will fight harder than ever. If we try to crush them with force, how many Vrexians will die? Thousands? Millions? Is that worth the pride of victory?" "She is right," Commander Taeyang said. He had been called to the council to explain what happened at Titan. "I have fought humans longer than anyone here. They are the most dangerous enemy we have ever faced. Not because they are strong, but because they never give up. You cannot threaten them with death. They have already accepted death. You cannot threaten them with suffering. Their entire planet was a death world that spent millions of years trying to kill them. They are used to suffering. The only way to defeat them is to kill every single one, and that will cost us dearly." "Then what do you suggest?" Rathmon asked. "I suggest we consider peace," Taeyang said. The chamber exploded with angry shouts. "Peace with humans? Impossible, dishonorable, weak, but Taeyang did not back down. We declared them extinct, he said loudly over the noise. We can declare we were wrong. We can offer them their system back. We can recognize them as equals. It costs us nothing except pride, and it saves Rexian lives. The Council will consider this, Rathmon said finally. But first we will send one more fleet. One more attempt to crush them. If that fails, then we will talk of peace. Agreed, the Council nodded. It was decided. One more battle. One more chance for victory. And if that failed, then peace. But the Council did not understand humans well enough. They did not know that humans had already made their decision. And that decision was written in blood and fire across the stars. In the Earth system, Colonel Hyejin stood before a holographic display showing all the awakened forces. 100,000 humans, spread across 37 vaults, an army that should not exist fighting a war that should be over. Guardian, what are our assets? She asked. All priority units are awake and operational, the AI replied. Major Sung-Ho has 10,000 Iron Marines. Captain Yuna has 5,000 Void Corsairs. We have support staff, engineers, medics, and logistics personnel. Captured Vrexian ships number 47. Operational human weapons platforms number 72. We also have control of the defense satellites in the outer system. And enemy strength? The Vrexian Empire has approximately 2 million warships across their territory. They can mobilize 100,000 for a major campaign. Intelligence suggests they are preparing a final assault on our position. 100,000 ships against her small force. Impossible odds. Hyejin smiled. She had faced impossible odds before. That was what humans did best. We need to strike first, she said. We need to hit them before they hit us. Guardian, what is the location of their staging area? They are gathering at the Nexus Prime Station. It is their main military hub in this sector, heavily defended. Approximately 5,000 warships already in position. Then that is where we attack, Hyejin said. Major Sung-Ho, Captain Yuna, all unit commanders joined the planning session. We have work to do. The plan was insane. It was desperate. It was exactly the kind of plan that humans loved. They would use their captured Vrexian ships to infiltrate the enemy fleet. They would pretend to be reinforcements coming to join the assault. And when they got close enough, they would strike from within. They will detect us, Major Sung-Ho warned. Our ships will not pass inspection. Then we do not let them inspect us, Hyejin said. We move fast. We transmit false codes. We cause confusion. By the time they realize we are hostile, we will be in the middle of their formation. It is a suicide mission, Captain Yuna said flatly. Most of us will die. Yes, Hyejin agreed. Most of us will die, but we will take thousands of them with us. And we will buy time for the remaining humans to escape, to hide, to survive. That is the mission. That is the purpose. Are you with me? No one hesitated. Every commander raised their hand. They were all volunteers. They all chose this when they went into the ice. They all knew how it would end. But they would make it count. Commander Taeyang received a message from Hyejin 3 days later. It was short, simple, and it broke his heart. Commander, we are attacking Nexus Prime in 12 hours. This will likely kill most of us. But before we die, I want you to know something. You are different from the others. You understand war. You understand cost. When this is over, when the blood stops flowing, I hope you will help build something better than what existed before. Both our peoples deserve better than endless war. Goodbye, Commander. It was an honor. Taeyang immediately tried to respond. He tried to warn her. He tried to tell her that the Council was considering peace. But his message did not reach her. She had already blocked all incoming communications. She did not want to be talked out of what came next. The human fleet arrived at Nexus Prime exactly on schedule. 47 captured Vrexian ships approached the massive station. They transmitted the correct codes. They moved in the correct formation. They looked exactly like reinforcements. Unidentified fleet, state your designation, came the challenge from station control. This is Support Fleet Gamma 7, Hyejin lied smoothly. She was sitting in the captain's chair of her stolen destroyer, wearing a captured Vrexian uniform. We are here to join the assault force. Acknowledged. Proceed to Docking Bay 47 for inspection and resupply. Copy that, Hyejin said. Then she switched to the private channel. All ships we are in. 60 seconds to weapons range. Make ready. The human fleet moved deeper into the station's defenses. Thousands of Rexian warships surrounded them. Station weapons tracked them but did not fire. Why would they? These were friendly ships coming to help win the war. 30 seconds, Hyejin counted. 20 seconds. 10 seconds. She thought about Earth, her beautiful home planet that she would never see again. She thought about her family, dead 10 years ago in the burning. She thought about all the humans who had died in this war, all the children who would never grow up, all the futures that would never happen. 5 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1. All ships, open fire. For Earth, for humanity, for everyone we lost. The human fleet opened fire at point-blank range. Railguns thundered. Missiles launched. Plasma beams cut through shields and armor. The Vrexian ships around them exploded in brilliant flashes. The station's outer ring shattered. Thousands died in the first 10 seconds, but the Vrexians recovered quickly. They returned fire. The human ships were tough, but they were outnumbered 100 to 1. One by one, they began to die. Hyejin's destroyer took hit after hit. Fire spread through the corridors. The bridge filled with smoke. Her crew was dead or dying, but still she fought. Still she fired every weapon until they burned out. "Guardian," she said through the static. "Did we buy enough time?" "Yes, Colonel," the AI replied. "The other vaults are evacuating. Civilian ships are scattering into deep space. The Vrexians cannot track them all. Humanity will survive." "Good," Hyejin said. "That is all that matters." Her ship exploded. She died instantly. Around her, the rest of the human fleet died too. Major Sung-ho died ramming his ship into the station's reactor. Captain Yuna died in her fighter, taking 3 enemy cruisers with her. All across the battlefield, humans died fighting, but they took 30,000 Vrexians with them. Commander Taeyang arrived at Nexus Prime to find chaos. The station was destroyed. Thousands of ships were damaged or dead in space, and the humans were gone. All of them. They had sacrificed themselves to buy time for the others to escape. He thought about Hyejin, about her final message, about honor and cost and the price of war. She had been right. Both peoples deserved better. He opened a channel to the Vrexian Council. "This ends now," he said.